Yo, so this video is gonna talk about mental blocks, what they are, how they form, and how to get rid of them. Because mental blocks are the biggest are one of the biggest ways that psychological warfare manifests. Now, I want to clarify this also real quick. Psychological warfare is literally a byproduct of people using your own human physiology, biology, chemistry, and psychology against you. Pretty much, like, that's what they're doing. Like, and who specifically is they? You know, who is they? I make a video titled "Who is they?" We'll find out who they is that is fucking with us. But, you know, yeah, anyway. What is a mental block? Because we all know about how, like, you know, people may be like writing something, then they get like writer's block, or some may be like fucking like doing a project, then they get mentally blocked. But like, I don't even mean that for real. I don't even mean that for real, because you don't even gotta be doing shit. You don't even gotta be working on a project. You could literally just be chilling and catch a mental block, and then have that bitch be stuck there, and you could possibly not even know, because typically you don't even notice your mental blocks until you overcome your mental blocks, and then you get blocked up again. Because you now being clear and then getting blocked up again is like, you start seeing what it was like to actually be clear, and then you notice the block. Before, you just always blocked, so it just always felt normal, but it's not really normal. Now, with that being said, right, your thoughts are actual things. The process of thinking is literally grouping up together subtle atoms and particles, literally. Like, when you think words, like, you have to form those words within inside of your mind. You feel me? And by the way, your mind, you only have your mind because you have a certain level of memory. You feel me? Like, there's the anatomical shit, you feel me, the genetic shit, there's a whole bunch of memory, but your accumulated memory has already formed what you call your mind. You feel me? On top of that shit, it's still with the side of your mind, you keep on forming more shit that is really based upon the past memory that you already have. You feel me? Which comes from past lives, genetics, you feel me? Then you also have the anatomical shit and all that other shit, you feel me? Elemental memory and all that. Evolutionary memory, too, that's a thing also. There's a lot of different memory and stuff like that, you feel me? But the mind is formed from all that different stuff, you feel me? The mind is really a conglomerate of atoms and subtle particles and stuff like that, you feel me? And then when you make thoughts, you keep on moving these shits around and stuff like that. But with that being said, denser thoughts and emotions, like when you form these things, they stay with inside of your mind. And the denser the thought, the more physical it appears with inside your mind. Like, your thoughts can manifest as blocks with inside of your body and then cause sicknesses. In the West, not in the West, in the Eastern traditions, right? When you get sick, they only sum it up to two things. Either it's your diet and your food, or it's your psychology. Your psychology is causing you to be sick and stuff like that, because your thoughts are manifesting inside of your body. Because your body, right? Like, you have life force flowing all over your body. Like the Chinese meridians, right? From Chinese medicine and acupuncture and shit. I've heard from Ryan Cropper that the meridians are pretty accurate with showing the flow of life force within inside of your body. Because I already know, there's some channels that I do know, like life force does flow inside of you, but it's more like a spiral motion, like a downward spiral. And then you have an upward one, it's like an upward spiral and shit, you feel me? So you have those two flows, but there's also more all around your body and shit. And your thoughts can literally block the flow of life force, cause you to not be able to get in tune with the source, you feel me? So there's that, right? And it's like, we all know, like if you think about dense emotions, what emotions are the dense ones? The negative ones. You feel me? The most like uppity one, it happens with like stress, anxiety, and anger and stuff like that. But they start off as really dense and everything like that. You feel me? They're more dense and contracting emotions and everything like that. These actually affect your physiology in your subtle energy flow. Like, it actually does that. You feel me? That's actually a thing. And the ways that mental blocks form is from, one, false interpretations, which are like the biggest fucking one. You feel me? Because you can have a false interpretation that's given to you from somebody else, from social media, or just from yourself, from you just chilling and misinterpreting something. You feel me? And then suppression is a huge one. This is why I talked about in my first video about spiritual warfare, which is really psychological warfare. I talked about how you shouldn't just be overly positive in the sense that when you have a negative thought, you just push that shit away and say, nah, fuck that thought, nigga, I'm that nigga, because your negative thought provides feedback. If you have some form of fear, right, you probably have the fear because on some level you don't believe in yourself. Why don't you believe in yourself? You probably lack some type of skill. If you get that skill, that will kill the fear. But you shouldn't kill the fear by just saying, nah, fuck that fear. You may just be suppressing that shit, and it goes with the side of your unconscious level of awareness. And suppressing these thoughts can actually form mental blocks with the side of you. They could eventually pop up with inside of your dreams. That could eventually pop up through other people. That could pop up through your own thoughts. You feel me? Like, these blocks actually form. Like, they're actually things. Your thoughts are actually things. And when you think, you literally group together particles and stuff like that. And that's why it's important to develop the ability to have subtle thoughts. You feel me? Because subtle thoughts come in the form of like frequencies and tones and stuff like that. Like, but they're just more light and stuff like that. Like, when you're happy and calm and peaceful, it's a lighter feeling and thought process that you have. You should strive to achieve a subtle level of thinking because that involves grouping together less atoms and particles and shit and stuff like that. You feel me? But at the same time, it's like, I'm not saying it's bad to group your shit up and be focused, but you shouldn't be grouping your shits up and just leaving it there. Because sometimes focusing your mind on something is actually very important. But it should be done with awareness of what you're actually doing. You shouldn't just form these blocks inside of you, then you just leave these shits there. And a way to unblock them, one thing is actually breath work. Like, there's something called the breath of fire. That could actually help you clear mental blocks. So can other breathing patterns and stuff like that. Meditation helps you clear them just because as you meditate, right? As you do this shit properly, you feel me? You tend to your rate of thinking tends to go up anyway, which will start clearing the denser thoughts up and stuff like that. You feel me? On top of that, your life force is gonna try to flow inside your body if you're activating it, and it may try to push through the blocks and stuff like that. You feel me? But that's why when practicing Kundalini yoga, they say that it's important to purify your mind and stuff like that, because if you have mental impurities that cause blocks inside of you, it can actually disrupt the flow of life force, and then when it flows through you, it can actually damage your physiology and your psychology because the mental blocks that were there. Because the life force, like, as it tries to push through the block, it can cause damage and stuff like that. Like, that's an actual thing. Like this shit is actually real. Like, you feel me? But social media also gives you them shits because you constantly go on social media, then you hear all these opinions that really don't have any basis in actual reality. You feel me? YouTube, which involves social media and stuff like that. Other people just giving you false ideas and stuff. I ain't gonna say false, just ideas that are very dense and not light. You feel me? And yeah. Now, developing the process of subtle thought, I could actually like studying the Egyptian gods and stuff like that actually helps do that shit, because like, you'll see what I mean. Like, if you look on a tree of life, the higher divinities, the higher up you go, the more subtle things get. You feel me? Which means that if you cultivate that divinity inside yourself, the thought process that is linked with that divinity will automatically be a subtle thought process anyway. But yeah, and also mantras and affirmations help to purify the mind, because it actually will group, like, especially with mantras, because mantras have been like made specifically with the certain sounds for specific reasons. An affirmation kind of just says something, and like, it's still beneficial, but it's not the same as a mantra. Now, with these things, that you say them and you group your mind in these ways, right? And then when you're done saying this shit, they kind of like vibrate within the side of your mind, right? These vibrations can help fight off and loosen up the negative thoughts and emotions inside of you and stuff like that to get them flowing again. You feel me? Especially the mantras. You feel me? They could actually they could make your mind group up And then as you stop saying it, it starts to reform back to normal, but the vibrations cause the lower just to come the fuck up and then kind of break away and everything like that. You feel me? So I could probably talk more about this shit, but I'm gonna wrap it up for right now. And yeah, that's this video. Catch you in the next one.